Okay, in section 5 we talk about adding point shape files. So obviously on the map there's a lot of point data, and so you can see if you go to the legend here, it describes the different things. So single line is bedding, double line banding, if there's a red number it's cleavage, and there's different obviously the other information here. So these bedding, banding, cleavage, we're going to digitize a few of these points to create some point shape files. So once again we go up here to catalog, and under shapefiles you can right click, go new, and go down to shapefile, and let's say 2020 structural. You could also, like in future, if you're working on a project, you could say an area. So if it's in the bushveld complex, you could say bushveld structural. And I suppose we're kind of limiting ourselves by putting a year, because if this is an ongoing project for several years and you're going to constantly add more structural data, it's a bit more limiting. But the reason why I'm putting 2020 is because already in the shapefile there's some stuff from 2019. Okay, you're going to go down here and you actually don't have to change it this time. Leave it on point. And remember, we have to define the coordinate system. World, scroll down to WGS84. Okay, and you click OK, click OK. Remember, if we didn't stop editing last time, we need to do that. So let's stop editing, save our edits, yes, so that it refreshes the information in this create free feature. So now we're going to go to this structural shapefile we just created, right click, go to open attribute table, and let's add in some headers that we're going to need the information of. So the first one we're going to do is click on the arrow, go to add field, and let's call it structure. So we're actually going to say, is it a bedding or cleavage? And sorry, now we're going to change the type to text, because it will be a word that we are typing in, and you can change the length here to 10. So we're not really going to use more than 10 characters. You probably could leave it at 50, but for neatness, let's change it to 10 and click OK. You can see the heading appears here. Let's add another field here. Let's call it dip AZ for azimuth. And this is going to be a number, so let's leave it as short integer and click OK. Oops, you can see I didn't type that very well. Let's see if I go down here to properties. If I right click on it, I can actually retype, change dip to SIP to dip. Okay, and then the last one we're going to add field is the dip value. Again, you can leave it as short integer because it's a number. Okay, so we've got your new headings in the table here, and now we can start digitizing some points and putting in some values for it. So I'm going to close this table. Let's start editing now, and we're going to select the structural shapefile here that we're going to edit. So click OK, and you can see it now also shows up on the right hand side here under create features. Okay, and now let's click on it over here under create features, and you'll see that you've now got different options here under the edit menu, and we now, I think for the first time, have a point that we can edit. And it's because it knows that this shapefile is a point shapefile. So let's find a point that we want to edit, and you can, I'll just do one or two, but you can come along and do some more. So you can see here, here's bedding, so let's click on it, and let's also do this cleavage. Okay. Did it only save that one? Okay, well let's go to, if you're not sure, go to your table, go open attribute. Okay, so it did both of them. So I would say maybe don't digitize too many points at first, because you're going to get a little bit confused. Okay, so in the table here, let's type in the information. So the structure, the first one we clicked on was this 40, so that's bedding, so let's just say BED. And then the last one here is cleavage. Okay, so the dip on the bedding, we've got 40, and the cleavage, we've got 56. And delete that 0. So now we need to sort out our dip azimuth. Okay, for the life of me, I cannot figure out how to do dip azimuth in Arc. I don't think it is possible. So this bedding, I'm just going to approximate it here. Just click off here. So the azimuth is 180 is, well, 0 to 180 is north to south. So let's say 160. Oh, I think I stopped editing. You can see it won't accept any changes. So I stay start editing, structural, 160, and this one here is more like 135. Let's see how it works. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to close the table. I'm going to say save edit. And so now let's try display this information on our table. And so first thing is, let's go right click on the structural stuff, go to properties, and we're going to go to the symbology. I'm going to pause my video because again mine is taking a long time to load. Okay, so you click once the window is opened on symbology. And now because it's not just a fold, we've got different categories. We've got bedding and cleavage. We're going to click here on categories. But now we're going to make sure that you clicked on unique values. And then make sure the value field that you're going to be using to characterize it is your structure. So that's the names that we've given, the bedding and the cleavage. And now click here on add all values. So you can see here bedding and cleavage. Now we're going to double click on these symbols because we don't want them to be circles. So double click on it. And I want you to first, for the bedding, is that the one we've selected? You can double check. Yeah, we've selected bedding. Type in here inclined. And let's see, so you can see the first one comes up, inclined bedding. If you click on it, and let's just change the size to 40. And the angle to 0. Let's see, and click OK. You can see it's changed it, and let's change the cleavage. So here you're going to type in inclined, but write the word cleavage. There we are, inclined cleavage. And again make the size 40 and the angle 0. Okay, and click OK. And let's see, I'm going to take off the JPEG. Okay, so they are very small. Let's see if I zoom out, does it maintain their size? Okay, so it's not, you're welcome to go and make it as big as a map. So as you zoom out, it seems to, it increases, but obviously it's being resized. Okay, so now we need to rotate these structural symbols. So how we do, and I actually went to make my symbols a bit bigger, and so you can, so we can see a little bit better what the heck we're doing. And so now how you rotate your symbols is you make sure you're under properties, you go to symbology, and then you go down here to advanced and rotation. And so it says rotate point by angle in this field. So we're going to use our dip azimuth field to define our rotation. And you'll all laugh now because I've put the wrong value in dip azimuth. The value I put in dip azimuth was actually the strike, not the direction of dip. So we'll have to go back and change that. And you make sure you clicked on geographic over here, and you click on OK, and you click on OK. And so you can see it's rotated it. So I wasn't too bad with my values, but so the value I gave here for the dip azimuth was actually the strike. I said it was 160 and 135, so easy to change. Let's go over here and right click in our table, open. So our dip azimuth here is in this direction, so I'd say 160 plus 90, so 250. And then our dip azimuth for the cleavage is up in this direction, so I'd say minus 90, so it should be 45. Okay, and let's close that. And let's, if we zoom out, we might have to, okay, there we are. So just the zooming seemed to refresh it. As you can see, my azimuth not 100% over here. Let's right click one more time and change it ever so slightly in the table. It needs to be a little bit more, so I'm going to say 47, just to be, and let's see, there we are, and it's very, okay, Okay, and so now what we want to do is we actually want to put some labels on it. And so how we do that is we're going to go right click again, go back to properties. I shouldn't have closed it. Go back to labels, exactly like we did last time. Okay, so we select label features in this layer. Remember, we leave methods as in, and label field we're going to use should be dip. That was the value we put in. Let's make the size a bit bigger. Let's make it 14. And I'm going to push apply just to check it shows. There we are, shows. I'd say let's play a bit with the placement properties. Okay, so we go to down here, placement properties, and we click on place label at an angle specified by a field, and we choose the rotation field, and we go down here, rotate labels by the angle, which is the dip azimuth. It's interesting it hasn't changed the same amount changes, and choose geographic, click OK, and click apply. Okay, so let's move the labels a little bit further over. Okay, and so you can go through if you want and do some more structural points, but these are the two that we'll use in this exercise.